What's up, YouTube? It's Reverend Bob. So, I've been collecting speakers for years. I've been really into audiophile most of my life, ever since I was a little kid. I remember I had a little realistic AM/FM radio that my mom and dad bought me when I was 7. Now, I grew up around musicians my whole life. My grandfather played the saxophone and the piano, and he was a beautiful singer. My grandmother sang. She played piano, double keyboard organ, sang in the church. My dad plays multiple different instruments, from the saxophone to the flute to the guitar, bass, drums, singer. I've been surrounded by it my whole life. And, I believe an audiophile, and I'm talking a novice audiophile. There's different levels of audiophiles, right? And there's different things that in their past that makes them an audiophile. Now, everybody has their own perception of what an audiophile is, right? And I really don't want to get into that. Look, that's a tough subject, right? That you're never going to end the war on that. But one thing that I learned about being an audiophile is sounds. And I don't care what anybody says, unless you're going to pay for a $5 million pair of speakers from, Infinity, which there's only so many pairs of them, or you're paying hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars from all of these different companies like PS Audio or or Infinity. People don't have that type of money. And, I have friends that ask me back and forth, because I have a lot of friends that play music at home, and they're like, man, how come speakers cost so much? I said, well, it's kind of hard to say. He's like, oh, man, is there a price of diminishing return? I said, look, man, I don't believe that. And some things, yes, but in audiophile, look, yeah, when they're $5 million and you sit in a room and you listen to those speakers, it's like they're on a whole different level. But I can't never afford that. So I've listened to different brands over the years, and the sounds of different brands, different highs and lows, the peaks, how much headroom, what volume setting am I listening to them at? Now look, I have in Vegas, I have, Infinity speakers, which I think Infinity speakers are absolutely wonderful. And some of the people who had a lot to do with Infinity USA are still living. The guy who's designed the speakers, he's passed away, God rest his soul. But people who were with him, as a matter of fact, the CEO of PS Audio, Paul, he was around for the building of a lot of different types of speakers and a lot of different types of components for a system, which I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of it. But there's just so much that's involved in listening to music, right? You can hear music or you can listen to music. People who listen to music are trying to hear the small things in there, the strings. When somebody's playing a guitar, how you can hear the thumb rolling off of the string. Now, people say, well, what's the importance of that? Well, that's about as close as you're going to get to, watching them live. And really, anytime you listen to something, whether you're, using a tube amp or a solid state, in a sense that you want to hear it from the old ways, right? I mean, the vintage sound. I don't know. I mean, I listen to things on a DAC and, Class A and B versus Class D. I mean, look, it's all crazy. But when it gets down to the nitty gritty, yeah, okay, amplifiers are great. But I'm going to tell you, speakers are number one. The placement of speakers, absolutely. The type of speaker, everybody's sounds are different. Everybody's tastes are different. Your ears can play tricks on you. Your mind can play tricks on you. How do you feel that day? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling sad? Are you struggling with stuff? Believe it or not, all those things have to do with the way you listen to music. So, as I've listened to music over the years, I figured out what sounds I like personally from different manufacturers. And so sometimes you got to go back. Like these are Sherwin Vegas. As you can see, there's your identification for your Sherwin Vegas. Now, these are old. I mean, look at these babies. They're heavy Chevy, right? And I got to, redo them. There's the kit to redo them. I got to refoam them. That's just one of those things that happens with Sherwin Vegas. Now, I do something a little different when I put this on. And I find that the sound is better. And that the foam doesn't wear out as much. And that's just something that I found over the years. And I don't see anybody doing it, but I do it. And no, I won't reveal it. It's just my own little secret that I figured out for myself. That way I don't have to keep refoaming them bad boys. Anyways, these are vintage Sherwin Vegas. These are out of a set of D3s, I believe. Or D1s, I can't remember. D1s. And then these here come from Parts Express. Now, these drivers, these are heavy bad boys. Look at the size of these. There's your model number if you're going to look for a set. Now, they're only 70 watts at 8 ohms, right? But don't let that put you aside. Oh, it's only 70 watts. Look, real 70 watts is real 70 watts. People could say something's 5,000 watts and it's only, maybe doing 100 to 150 watts. So don't believe all that junk, Look, you pay for watts. That's the way it is. People will tell you, the professional people will tell you, you will pay for real watts and real good sound. That's just the way it is. So I went with these, and I got these from Parts Audio too. These were a mid-range driver. The GM 65-4. I find these to be really super nice and really close to the original sound that I like that came out of Sherwin Vega cabinet. I really like that mid-range sound, and I can manipulate it really well when I do a bypass with a potentiometer. So I'm thinking about doing that. These here, I got from a gentleman out in Indiana. These are a dome tweeter. I don't know what it is about these tweeters, but he had a couple pairs of them, and he said if I wanted them, that I could buy a couple sets. So I bought 2 sets of 2. So I got 4 of them because I never thought I'd probably be able to pick them up. But there's the number. Maybe you guys can find them. They're really, really nice tweeters. And then these are from Japan. These are ribbon tweeters. And there's your number. Now, this is a very different sound, and people say, wow, they sound really good, or I don't really like them because they're they feel piercing. Well, the best speakers that I've ever heard in the world have these in them, but larger. I really like them. I mean, they're just, they're another sound. If you've never heard speakers with them in it, man, you have to. I mean, they're just on another level. I built Mary a set of speakers for her little system downstairs. And I put one of these drivers, and I put one of these in it, and it sounds, oh, so awesome. I mean, Mary doesn't require the same sound as me, right? So, but yeah, that's what I got 2 of those. So, if you look, you say, well, do you really need all those? Because most speakers are only a 3-way or a 2-way speaker. Well, here's the thing. I know it looks like Mickey Mouse, huh? Here's the thing. I'm not putting my speakers all in the front. So, I'm going to use one of those tweeters. I'm going to put it in the back because I find that there is a distinct sound that you get when you have a tweeter that's bouncing off the back of a wall. I don't know how to really explain it, but there's a presence in it. There's a sweetness to it. The highs are very surrounding, I guess that's what I could say. It's not like a surround sound, but they're very surrounding. They're very detailed. I'm sure you guys could probably find some people on YouTube. They might have demos of speakers with tweeters in it. Now, I do know that, oh boy, I'm probably going to hear about it when I say this. Bose did that. They put tweeters in the rear. Reflective, what they call them, bass reflex speakers or something. I don't know. I can't remember years ago, but I have some Bose. But there is a difference in the sound, and some people like it and some people don't. But it really has to do with the placement of your speakers and where you place the tweeter and what angle that tweeter's on. So there's a lot of engineering to it all. And it really takes a long time to try to figure those things out. Some people are happy with, $20 set of speakers and, $10 amp they got at the yard sale. Well, that's fine if you're happy with that. But if you ever venture to hear other stuff, you're just going to, keep growing. I mean, you got to start somewhere. Don't think you always got to start at the top. Now, for some people, they would say, oh, well, them speakers, they can't be that expensive. Well, a pair of these, vintage ones, right? A pair of these is like, $150, $200 for the vintage ones. It's not cheap, And then, the other speakers, these here are about $60 or so a pair. These here are about maybe $30, $40. These ones here, I can't remember what I paid. I think I paid like $20 for the pair. Now those tweeters are different. Okay, they're more expensive. They're made in Japan, and they have a certain sound. You should go on YouTube and see if you can find somebody that's playing the set. It will change your world, okay? It really will. Even if you just made a little box or put them on a piece of wood and had an open back, because it doesn't require you to have these in a closed enclosure. None of these speakers, really. You don't have to have any of these. Oops, there's my foot. In a closed enclosure. So you could have those tweeters in their own separate little, box if you want, and have them open, and you can move them around to your liking. I believe, look, if you've never tried them, you should. You should. And as far as the crossovers are concerned, I got one of them. The other one's over there. I tried one of these out for a friend of mine. He wanted a crossover, three-way crossover. Now, people say, oh, Chinese junk. These are 150 watts. They're three-way. And, wow, they sound really good. I was just totally blown away. $30 a pair. I mean, you can't go wrong for that. And I was like, I'm going to, at the same time I had bought, 2 pairs. And I was sitting around the other day and I said, man, I would really just, I would really love to build myself a nice set of speakers the way that I want them, with the components that I like, that I've heard. So I had some of this foam laying around, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I like to insulate my crossover. I don't like to have it open in a cabinet, okay? I believe that frequencies can and may, when the speaker's moving, cause some sort of interference. So I believe that you should try to isolate them a little bit. So what I did was I put a couple rubber pads on the bottom of these, and as you can see, and then I soldered them in. But I've done this for a friend of mine, and they sound really good. So I figured it was time for me to actually put a set together. And then these binding posts, you're probably saying, well, why don't you just have one set going in, because you only have one? Well, because I'm going to power one section of the speakers with 1 amp, and then I'm going to power the other set with another amplifier. I know. Do you need to? Well, no, but there's different driving forces going on here. So I wanted to make sure that I had enough power if I need it, right, to be able to do that. So that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm putting in 2 sets of binding posts. I'll have one amplifier that's powering the tweeters, and then another amplifier that's powering the low end. So that's how I want that. Because sometimes, it's hard to explain, but sometimes you can underdo yourself. It's better to always put more in than you need, and then not have to use it. Better to have it, not need it, than need it and not have it. I guess that's the best way to say it. So I'm putting the extra set of posts in, and I'm going to try it both ways. I'm going to try it running all the highs together and see if I like them, and then the mid, and then the bottom ends. But I don't think that it's the right way to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try it in different combinations to see which is going to work best for me to power it, right? Because interference, the wrong type of amplifier, you can get distortion out of the way that you plug it into your wall. I mean, look, there's lots of things that can cause problems. I got to get, the right power conditioner. Everybody that knows and has been to my channel knows that I have a lot of PA equipment and a lot of amplifiers and a lot of stereos. So for me, I can, I've accumulated all these over the years. I have a lot to pick from. So I'm going to run these speakers that I'm building off of tube amps, solid states, and DACs, right? Class D amplifiers. And I'm going to try them with different models, from Marantz, Pioneer. I've got Sony. I've got Nakamichi. I have Denon. I have Carver. I mean, I have a lot of different types of amplifiers. And try to figure out where these best set. Because I've heard these speakers in different, with different amplification running the different types of speakers that I have laid out here. So, I don't know what type of problems I'm going to run into there, We'll see. Also, I think I might put some potentiometers on the tweeters and maybe the mid-range. And my reason for that is to dial in the sound right? I just know me, if I don't do it, I'm going to wish I did it, and then I'm going to have to pull it all back apart. And with all of the wood that I'm going to be using and how I'm going to be doing it, I don't want to put in all of that labor and all of that work, get finished, and then have to tear them all back apart. So I'm going to make it so that I can adjust them later on after they're finished. So putting a couple of potentiometers in, it's a few extra minutes work so that I don't have to worry about it. And I don't know if I'll be using CTS or Burns. I haven't quite figured that out. Whether I'm using 250K pots or 500K pots or what I'm using yet. I haven't quite figured that out. I'll have to do a little bit of research on that. When you're building guitars, it's one thing. When fixing old guitar amplifiers, it's another thing. So I'm going to, probably what I'll do is I'll go downstairs and play through a few of my amplifiers that I have, from, Fender tubed amps and Johnson Millennium amps and, different companies, and listen to the potentiometers and how they sound and, what they reflect when I'm turning them up and down, and I'll figure out exactly what I want. Now, I know it won't be the same type of speaker driving it, but I can hear, how close the tolerances are on the potentiometers when I'm moving it, and that really has a lot to do with, how I use them for this application. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing. I'm going to build myself a set of speakers, for up here in my room. Now, my go-to amplifier that I love is my Marantz PM300. That big thing up there, that model 2020, believe it or not, all that is a tuner. Now, I have, another equalizer going, I'm going to put into the system. I'm not sure if I'm going to put my Marantz tape deck in here, if I'm going to use my Nakamichi cassette deck, or if I'm going to use my Sony. I haven't figured out, because I might have to flip-flop that around too to see what sounds best and runs best with the speakers after I build them too. So, there's a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff to try to figure this out, and it's probably going to take me months to figure out the best, amplifier or amplifiers that I'm going to be running, along with a turntable, turntables can be really hair-braising too, I had a beautiful Technics years ago, and I sold it, and I should have never sold it. It was absolutely a great turntable. It was true. It never wobbled. It was just a great performer. And then I sold it. So I don't know what I'm going to do now. I have a brand new turntable that I use for scratching, but I don't know if that's going to work well with this application. So I don't know. We'll figure it all out as I go along. Do I tell everybody to do this? Look, it's probably not for everybody, building a set of speakers. But when you do it, there's a sense of pride. But let me make you a suggestion first. listen to different types of speakers, right? Try to find out where they get their components from, Where do those components come from? Do your research, listen to people who build their own crossovers, right? Maybe, you could build a crossover. It's not that difficult, really. Maybe something that you want to do, too. It's just, my type of journey. I really like doing this type of stuff. And, hopefully all these years of playing around, pans out for me. If not, then, well, back to the drum board, I guess. But that's why I've spent years and know which speakers I really like. I like. Not somebody else likes. Not that they cost the most in the world. Because, I've been collecting this stuff here for, oh, Lord, I don't know, probably. Some of the stuff is 20 years old. Some of the stuff is, well, these speakers here from the 80s, so I don't know, probably, that's 30 some years. So, there's different ages involved in this stuff too. Different components from all around the world. USA made, made in China, made in Japan. I mean, some of the stuff, the binding posts, USA. My cables, be all USA cables. So, not one country alone is involved in this, in the manufacturing of some of this stuff, which makes it really unique. And the cabinets will be made from different species of wood. Mahogany, cherry, spalted maple. I got some red cedar. There's different. Now, some people might say, oh, well, that will change the sound. Well, lots of things change the sound. The depth, the width of a box. How is it? Is it a front throw? Is it a rear throw? How are you porting it? What's the size of your ports? Are they round ports, square ports, oval ports, triangular ports? I mean, there's lots of things that can change the sounds of the speakers. So, I'm a firm believer. When you're building something like speakers, you start small, and then you can always increase the size, before you do the finishing part of it, to see if you have enough, if you want that sound. I've heard speakers that are open speakers. They're open back. They're not box speakers, and they absolutely sound wonderful. Magnapans, I don't know if you guys ever heard of them or not, but Magnapans are really nice sounding speakers. But with Magnapans, you got to run subwoofers, Now, I have plenty of subwoofers, from 1,000-watt subwoofers, real 1,000-watt subwoofers, to, 75-watt subwoofers. What I'll need for these, I don't know. I'm thinking that I probably will have enough bottom end with these Cerwin Vegas, because Cerwin Vegas are known for bottom end. So, hopefully in that respects I won't have to. But if I need to, I can. And that's another thing that I can do. If I want to increase the loudness, and these are being pushed too much in the low end, then I could take these and bypass these. So the 1 amp that's running my bottom ends, I can shut them off, run the highs, and put a subwoofer in, and try it in that respect. So these speakers will be very universal in that sense. So, wish me luck. I hope it all works out for me. If not, well, I'll be crying in my milk. All right, guys. Thanks for watching my video. Take care. Remember, you can do this too. It's not that hard. When you're working with tools, though, make sure that you understand the safety and use safety when you are using those tools, because even the simplest little things can hurt you these days, right? Okay, take care. God bless. God bless. And you know what? It's a journey that never ends. Music, oh my God. Take care, guys, and we'll see you soon. This is Pastor Bob, and I'm out of here. See ya.